know it, guys. Come on.
I didn't want to say it.
That's a good choice.
Sammy, so I was gonna say Michael Jackson, but Sammy
I can see that.
We'll let the people decide. But they're gonna.
Speaking of Michael Jackson. Speaking
What?
of Michael Jackson.
They look like
game.
Sammy Sosa. The people want to know.
They're gonna side with you.
Speaking of
Welcome
Michael
back,
Jackson,
guys.
if you guys watched the ESPN broadcast, who's the announcer? Mark Davis?
Jackson? Mark Jones?
Mark Jones?
I didn't see any of it. I watched the local.
No disrespect, I'm blanking on the name, but he was saying how Grant Williams' dad was a bodyguard for Prince. And I looked it up, and sure enough, he was a bodyguard for Prince and Michael Jackson. So
Wow.
pretty cool. Pretty cool. Little fun fact. That's a fun fact. What?
Who's dad?
Grant Williams.
Oh, that's right. I had heard that before. Yeah.
I think we knew that.
We did. I just, it was in a bunch of articles as soon as I
Thanks for
Googled
reminding
it,
us.
Okay. We are
Grant
live.
Williams, great
I
tonight.
just want to remind you that we are live.
Jimmy, you put me on. This is
We're
great.
talking about-
This is a great way to get into the conversation, guys. You know,
We're talking about the game.
We're just waiting for people to come on.
We're talking about the game that
Yeah.
who thought this was a win tonight? Not me.
Nope.
Not before, not during.
Although
Because
the Paul George news came across pretty late, and then
Yeah, but
I didn't
even
have enough
still.
time to process that. But that definitely made it way more winnable.
Watching this game, the way it started, as it wore on, and then they made that great run in the third, terrific. But
Best quarter of the year in that third.
Yeah.
There's a lot of. See, that's the thing for this Celtics team, for what they've been through the last week or so. The positive takeaways, they weigh so much heavier than the negatives, right? And obviously, winning it means a lot because the Celtics needed this one. But Kemba Walker at the end of that game, that's a
Are
positive.
you and Jimmy allowed to comment on the whole trip? Are we allowed?
What do you mean?
I defer to you guys. I defer to
You
you
and
guys.
Bob.
You guys missed some good
I
stuff.
marked you absent. This is it. You get it. Your grade is incomplete for the week.
You guys get some extra credit, burn the midnight candle. I was tucked away in the sheets, so I can't fully comment. I did see majority
You were in
of
detention, Jimmy.
the
That's what I thought.
games / the highlights, but I'm not upset that I missed the Kings game. I can tell you that. I'm not upset that I missed it. It happened. I don't think we want to rehash it. We're on to the Clippers.
We're on to the Clippers.
We're on to the Clippers.
All right.
Plenty of
Talk about
productive
it.
things from this roll cast throughout this trip, though. Whether it's Tristan Thompson, Semi Ojeleye, Grant Williams, certainly.
Come on, Semi Ojeleye. Fine, he played some.
You
good
got the
defense
final
tonight.
2 stops on Kawhi tonight. One
John,
catching game.
Started, John.
Bob,
And a
you
big
know that,
shot.
dude. He should have started.
It was a great
Are we
road
gonna
trip
play
from the
this game
supporting
every time?
cast. Hey,
Every
I-
time?
they-
This is what
so
we do.
Jason Tatum. So you start with Jason Tatum tonight. The 34 points or whatever ended up being phenomenal performance. But then you go to Kemba Walker, who's been highly scrutinized in recent weeks. But right after that, it's like Payton Pritchard, Carson Edwards probably is the next name you mentioned.
I'm
And then
starting with
Grant
Kemba.
Grant and Tristan probably after that.
I'm starting with Kemba. Here's the thing, though.
Game-winning
Every single-
shot.
It's one on, one off with a lot of these guys, and we get it. Grant, DNPCD, plays a good game last game out, starts this game, is okay, knocks down a couple threes, fine. Didn't have a great start to the game at all, but hit a couple of shots late. That's fine. Semi couldn't shoot at all. Shots kind of failed him, but he plays some decent defense there against Kawhi. That's fine. Those are decent contributions. I'm not celebrating them yet. The Kemba Walker story, I think, is real, though, because he was trending in the wrong direction again. And it was the same stuff we were seeing. Missing open looks all over the place, unable to get to the basket, started cold shooting, completely turned it around. This was Kemba's game tonight.
Yeah,
Yeah,
rough
exactly.
start.
I mean, and you're right, Tatum, Bobby, you're right. Tatum was the man the whole way through. But to me, Kemba's a headliner here.
But that's the positive takeaway I'm talking about.
Yeah.
That's the kind of positive takeaway that outweighs a whole lot of the negatives. And for someone like Kemba Walker, it goes a long way. I mean, after he made the shot, the way Tristan Thompson embraced him, I think just said it all. I mean, obviously, he's been through it. Whether you want to call it, crisis of, confidence, or whether it was, I don't know if he was necessarily second guessing himself, but obviously that was a big spot to be in, going 1 for 8 or whatever it was that he had that cold streak that night. And getting out of that and finding some rotation, finding some momentum. I mean, that's going to be most important for the Celtics all season long. Like Kemba Walker getting the most out of Kemba is gonna go a long way for the Celtics team.
I didn't see too many negatives tonight. I mean, what are we talking
Here's
about
one.
here?
Here's one. That guy.
Yeah.
Okay.
No one hates.
I'll-
No one hates. No one hates a player more than every Celtics fan hates Jeff Teague right
Okay,
now.
but this
Yeah,
is
he's
You made a good point on him, though.
He's
It's
this year's
stupid.
Semi Ojeleye.
The point is, we shouldn't waste any energy hating Jeff Teague.
Well, we did
Okay.
it on Wednesday. I made my point there to do
This,
it.
this,
So we
this
got
is
out of
what
the way.
everybody does.
And
They
thank
jump
goodness-
on an
Go ahead,
jump on an
Jimmy.
easy target. No, this is what people do. Like one person will say something about a player, then it'll snowball. Everyone will jump on it because it's like an easy target. Thank you, Jocks number 15. And I look at is Jeff Teague the savior of the Celtics? No, he's a depth guy. Has he been a little bit underwhelming?
He's been a massive detriment to me.
He hasn't been a massive detriment.
Yes, he has. He
it's-
derails lineups.
He doesn't. I mean, listen, he's not. I wouldn't say he's definitely not helping the team right now, but I don't think he's killing the team. I mean, just even look at his plus minus. Like, I think he's had one really bad plus minus game. Like it was like minus
Because he's
15.
always riding along Tatum in the bench unit. I saw a great stat.
So other players can have bad plus minus, but he can't.
The starters all had like a minus 15 entering the half, but Teague's the guy who messed the game up.
I saw a great
Right.
stat that these bench units are plus 11 with Tatum in there and no Teague, and then it goes to like plus 1 with Teague in there. So he's always going to have great players with him floating up the lineups. But you see him, he gets in spaces to shoot, has no confidence or desire left to pull, and then when he does, he bricks it because he's just got no makes left in him. His game's gone to complete
He's not
hell.
playing well.
His defense is awful. And John, you made a good point. I was about to wash this whole game down the drain for him, but his passing was good.
Yeah.
His passing, his movement in this one was productive.
And he got to the bucket a couple times, missing open threes is a killer though. I mean, you can't. He literally had.
He had a practice shot.
He had all
In the corner.
day on a couple of those, and it's just.
That's what's driving Celtics
Guys,
fans.
you can't trade Teague. Stop saying in the chat, trade him. You can't trade him. You launch him directly into the sun.
You can't
for nothing
trade
at all.
Teague.
If
You
you
can't
don't
trade
want-
Brad.
Put it this way: if you don't want him, no one else.
You hand him a piece of paper and you say goodbye, Jeff.
Yeah, you just say don't show up tomorrow. Okay?
Please don't come.
Just
Please
stay
don't
home.
come anymore. And you change the locks. You don't trade him.
You're just a player safety liability at this point. Like you just one
You wait
extra
till
body.
Friday afternoon, where's there's a least chance of an incident, and you have HR walk him out of the building. That's it. Okay.
At some
Just
point,
don't
yes.
come back from the All-Star break. Take a long All-Star break. Get some
Yeah.
rest.
Again, no silver lining with him too, though. So I don't think there were any bad games across. I think everybody played a role in the defensive resurgence tonight. You know, we always talk offense, but defense tonight on point after halftime. Everybody locked in, shutting down the Clippers at the 3-point line. Once the fourth quarter came around, they weren't hearing anything from outside, and everybody plays a role in that. And like this is finally shades of a team I thought coming into this year could be the best defense in the NBA. They got to figure out the lineups,
Pump the
rotations,
brakes.
all that stuff. But Jimmy, I mean, this team has the record for 3-point shooting right now, all time, and they shut them down from 57 to 41 by the end of the game. This was a massively inspiring performance against, this is as hard of a team as you can come across. The Lakers are one thing because they
I
defend
think they
as
were
hard as
missing
anyone,
somebody
but-
Yeah,
tonight.
but
Correct me
Bobby-
if I'm wrong. They were
Yeah,
missing somebody on the team.
Exactly.
Today.
That's what
Well,
makes
the Celtics are missing 2 guys.
It's a
No, I'm
fair
just saying,
trade. You actually can't possibly make it a more even trade in terms of missing guys with Beverly and Smart and George and Brown.
Yeah,
It's literally a dead
it's too bad.
wash.
That would have been a great. I would love to have a
Beverly,
full
yeah,
team
that
full
one
roster.
matters.
But Beverly and Smart, dead wash right there in terms of value to the team and what they bring.
Yeah.
And George and Jalen are the 1As to the 1 of the team. I mean, it's exactly a dead wash in terms of players who are missing tonight.
Well, Jalen would murder Paul George in cold blood. So I think he's got the edge there. Paul George, to me, soft. So
not lately.
I'll say
He's
it. No, not lately. No, not lately. He's been
No,
doing
alright.
his thing.
We're
But
going to go back to that whole Jalen George thing because George has been better than Jalen this year so far.
It's close.
yeah, no. I mean, you can make that argument if you're going to go back to the rankings. But we all know that you can't. You did not follow that assignment correctly at all, Bobby. You were like Jamal Who is it on?
Oh, well, I was using past production. Yeah, Murray didn't count there.
Yeah, Murray. Yeah, you were using a bunch. You were going all over the place. But point stands. Paul George is having a great season. Hey, real quick on Teague. I know we're going to move on, but we've bashed pretty much every player that we've bashed at some point this season has kind of turned it around to some extent. I mean, whether it's Grant Williams, Carson Edwards, we'll talk about him. I mean,
Tristan?
Maybe I wouldn't even go that far yet, but Brad Stevens isn't going to give up on Jeff Teague. There's too much of a history there. He's a veteran. I don't think we're at that point yet. I mean, I don't know what's going on with Teague. He's in a slump. That's the one I'm going to say.
Bobby and I were talking about it last.
Absolutely. I'll tell you what. Can we say this about Tristan? Bobby, you're talking about Tristan Thompson. It's not a coincidence he's playing his best basketball in California right now. With maybe, like we said last week.
Good point.
Does
Boston just suck?
We had a couple people tweet Chloe and say, "Hey, Chloe, Tristan's lonely. Like hit him up. Maybe meet for dinner or something like that."
They can't.
I don't know if they've been hanging out a little bit or what, but maybe it's just some.
His pregame handshakes had a little bit of "I wish one of you guys. I wish I signed out here" flavor.
Yeah, it could have been.
Close.
The old Oladipo.
What the fuck did you sign this Ibaka guy for? I was right there. I was right there. I am LA. What are you guys doing?
Who is better tonight, Tristan or Ibaka?
Ibaka to start. Ibaka looked good to start, but then he disappeared.
He did.
Yeah,
I thought
they went away from him.
He existed because what's his name?
Zubac.
No, Zubac was playing so well.
Yeah, he's a great cutter and finisher. So they said we're shooting 60% from three, so he can just eat dunks at the rim.
He ate Tristan alive.
Yeah. He's great. He's one of the most underrated players in the league.
He ate Tristan alive. Tristan was the third best center out there today, and we're celebrating him.
So
Speaking of third centers, you want to talk about that starting lineup, Bobby? You were upset.
Oh, that was a disaster. Yeah, we can start this from the first quarter. Kemba's missing shot after shot around screen, but the lineup, they come out and it's Grant, Tice, was it Thompson? Did they have those three guys on the court together? Was that the combination? Yeah. It was three centers.
Grant, Tice, Thompson. We got to stop calling Grant center. He's freaking 6'5".
I know.
Yeah, but he played center last year.
No, he didn't. He played.
Oh, so he's a 4 playing 3. So they're sliding everybody
centerless lineup.
Yeah.
In this matchup last year, he definitely.
Draymond Green's not a center, even though sometimes he'll play center. It's just.
Draymond's definitely a center.
Grant Williams is not a center.
All right, but Green definitely is.
Okay.
He played entire playoff series against.
They're perimeter players.
Green's good enough where you can call him a center.
They're perimeter players.
Hey, if you're closing the NBA Finals at center, you're a center.
He's a wing or a small forward. They're not traditional centers.
I'm talking to too many old guys here. Remember what centers used to be.
Who shouldn't have been in
that
lineup?
It doesn't matter.
PJ Tucker's a center today.
Who shouldn't have been in that lineup today?
It was tough tonight because you're missing so many guys, but it's just so ugly watching three centers out there. And I want to ask Brad pregame, is this what you want? Because it doesn't seem like it's...
You say three centers one more time and you're 5 minutes in the penalty box.
Is this what you want?
Is this what you want? You want bigs. I'll use the word bigs all over the floor. Tatum at the 2 and Kemba. It was just so awkward, no spacing. And finally, after the first quarter, he threw that in the trash and was like, we just don't have any spacing right now. And credit to him, he goes toward Carson Edwards, and that just completely opens the floor. They get out in transition. They make some shots on the run. And that changed the game tonight. They were about to go down by 15, 20, and they stayed within 10, 8, 12 because of all those shots Carson Edwards hit. So that ended up being the key adjustment. You don't play three centers together. Or three bigs together. That's just ridiculous.
I mean, you could call it a key adjustment, but I call it more of a stroke of luck. I don't know where that came from. I mean, three-pointers in a row.
Right, but that's been weeks in the making, though. He keeps talking about Carson.
Grant basically started at the 2 today. Okay.
I'm thinking,
Grant was basically your 2 guard in the lineup today.
I don't understand why you don't go Semi as small forwards. They're going 3 bigs.
What's up with Tice?
Yeah, you're right, Josue. I don't know why they don't ever start Semi, especially with the production he's been giving them this year. This is another big game from him.
Yeah, the three bigs. That was. I mean,
He's not a starter. That's why.
Without Paul George, I mean, if Paul George was there, there's no way he would have done that. But still, yeah, that was a weird starting lineup for sure.
Now Tice hurt in this one as well.
Just not against this team. I don't think you do that.
On him post game yet?
No, not yet. But he
probably won't get.
I mean, he just had one of those games where he kind of ended up like out of it anyway. He probably would have been playing late in this one anyway because there's Jeff. He just didn't have it. But the other ones did. Grant was awesome. I thought Tristan was fantastic. And Rob, what a weird Rob game, too. Two pull-up jumpers.
Every game is a weird. Have we ever been like, yeah, that was about right for Rob tonight? I feel like every game's a weird Rob game.
He missed 2 shots in crunch time at the rim, but hit 2 pull-up 15-foot jumpers.
And rattled another one out.
They won by 4 off 2 Rob Williams jumpers.
Yeah, and he rattled another one out. His jumper actually looked great.
Weird game, but I mean, you'll take anything out of this one that they possibly could have gotten contribution-wise. And we've been talking about this. I know, John, you hate talking about the supporting cast, but we know Tatum has it. We know Brown has it. Kemba's hit or miss. And then it's like, what can you get from everybody else? And tonight, almost everybody else showed up in some way or form. And defense matters too. Like, this was just I think Clippers average 118, so you hold them to 115. A lot of that was in the first half. They scored 63 by halftime. So this was just a remarkable performance. And we're talking about this could be a 3-0 road trip so far if they just closed against the Kings a little better.
Got a Tice update.
Well, they lost to the Lakers, too.
From Brad Stevens. I don't think it's anything big. He sat a couple of occasions last year for the same thing. But this stretch is insane, so we have to be smart with all of these guys. That's Brad on Daniel Tice's knee soreness.
He's been talking about his knee for a couple of weeks, too. So
yeah,
he's managing something there.
Well, don't tell John about knee injuries. He'll want to amputate immediately.
All right, should we do it? Let's circle back to Kemba. Where are you, John? Like, this is my thing on him is I keep saying the efficiency doesn't matter to me. Like, it just doesn't matter right now. I know he was 36-6 coming into the night, but if he's getting shots up, finding them throughout the flow of the game, defending competitively and scoring, I think we're talking, somewhere between 15, 19 a game from him. That's what they need.
Which is a good bit less than what you really want from him.
Eventually, but right now,
I don't know that it goes up. What I'm saying is, if this is what you have,
it went up tonight.
If this is what you have from Kemba, and this is best case, you'll take it, no question about it. It was a good, not great game, but it's certainly fine considering we've had a couple of 1 of 12s and 2 of whatevers. So yeah, you want to see him hit closer to 50% of his shots. You want to see him continue to take his shot. The team needs him to be a more consistent offensive player than he's been to be able to get to where they want to go. I don't know. I mean, do you guys
24 points? I mean,
this is all-star level Kemba Walker. I don't think so yet.
It was I mean, if you're getting 24 from Kemba every night, but let's not forget
absolutely.
Jaylen Brown didn't play tonight, so obviously somebody had to take those shots and step up, and so he did. I'm very happy with how he played. I mean, he did have a cold start. I will say, side note, I did bet Kemba Walker over 19 points in this one, which hit, so no big deal. But I was nervous a little bit the way he started, but he came around late on that massive play down the stretch there, and then he hit the 2 big free throws. As you know, you want him at the line late in game, and he came through, rolled around the rim, and made it interesting. But listen, that's the Kemba Walker that honestly I wasn't sure we were going to see. I'll be honest, completely honest, and if you watch this show, I didn't think he'd even be playing right now. So I'm certainly not going to complain with 24 points. And a win on the road with.
We're not complaining, but what do we want to?
No, I'm not complaining. I'm the opposite of complaining. I'm impressed. I'm happy.
Neither am I. You'll take this effort, but what are we saying here? Like, the whole entire game, the announcers are like, he clearly doesn't look like himself again. Like the first half, then some shots dropped, and we're like, okay.
Well, the problem is, I mean, and I've been saying this all along.
He's been like that for a long time, John. Like, but look at the stat line. I mean, look, 24 points. What are we talking about? 9 of 19. That's what, 47%. 4 assists, big shots down the stretch. Like, what other Kemba are you looking for?
Good defense.
He was your second best player. He was your second best player. And
Yeah,
that's what he is. When
And so,
he
like,
would be the guy in Boston because he has these two rising stars, next to him.
it's such a great point.
But there's no complaints, zero.
And that's where they are now. We know he's never going to be an all-star again. He already knows he's not an all-star this year. He admitted it today.
that's a little different.
Yeah. but I'll say this. You got two players in front of him. We've talked again and again about him adjusting to that next role that's going to be here for him. So if he's somewhere between, as you say, all-star John, and this whole other crowd who's trade him, he's done. They're stuck with him. He's just wasted piece. How are they ever going to get rid of him?
What does this mean?
You can be somewhere in between.
85% of our chat last game was Kemba Walker is trash, trade him.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking
We're
about
riding
you.
up and down this way.
Your minions.
I'm playing it down the middle. Kemba looked pretty good.
I know.
Tonight.
You proved it.
He's been inconsistent. What are we talking about? These are facts.
But my point is, you can have ups and downs from him because there's other players that are far more important than him. He's still going to be a massively valuable piece because he can give you 15 to 20 every single night in that third man role. It doesn't matter how efficient it is. And that's why I keep going back to the playoffs. Like, everybody looks at his postseason as a disaster, but Brown had exploded, Tatum had exploded, and it was enough to ride the team there deep into the Eastern Conference Finals. Now, certainly if he's better than he was in the playoffs, they'd probably make the finals, which is what you would like here, and that's, what he's trying to work toward right now. But he's so much closer to being, what we loved about him in that Philadelphia series, I think, than what other people are talking about with, how can we trade him? How can we dump him? How can we get rid of him now?
So John's obviously moving the goalpost because he was
I love having Kemba here.
He was way more negative on Kemba Walker, going into the season, as was I. But what? What are you shocked about?
I mean,
what have I said?
Nothing. I mean, what are we talking? Danny tried to trade him.
I didn't like that.
But exactly, and we don't know the facts.
Danny's like, hey, on the DL, this guy's knee is messed up, and I don't know what we're gonna get out of him, and he's not an all-star anymore. Can I trade you an all-star?
The value of Kemba is not trying to trade him. That's two completely different things.
Wrong. That's not what he wanted. He wanted a different player.
Before the season even started, what did Danny Ainge say? What we find out about Kemba this year, it's gonna.
I believe everything Danny Ainge says.
Listen,
that was reported in such a provocative way, too.
We're still in the middle of finding out what Kemba Walker still has left in the tank. This just started a week ago. He just came back.
Right. So that's where I'm at. I'm like,
it's a positive sign that he's going in the right direction. Like, I don't get why this small sample size is making everyone like it's a foregone conclusion that Kemba's lost it forever.
If the Celtics,
he drops 24, he shoots nearly 50%, hits a big shot down the stretch, and John's like, nope, I don't want it. Come on,
John's
man.
Let me put this up.
Before.
If they could have traded him, would you wanted them to for just like a replacement level point guard?
I was on board for the holiday. Trade.
I don't even think it's fair enough. I don't think right now it's fair enough for you to answer that question. I really don't. Because it's not.
Was the holiday trade even they got 4 first-round picks for him?
The reason we had this conversation because it was theoretical. We don't know if it's right or not. I just said I'm selling the stock in Kemba because I don't like the smaller point guard with the knee problems, and I just don't think it's. I would.
You were there. You were there before we knew.
Yes.
That Kemba Walker.
Before we knew that he had the issues. Yes.
Right. So then once we found out that he was hurt, well, it's like, okay, now it makes sense why they were maybe trying to shop him, blah, blah, blah. All this stuff wasn't necessarily for any other reason because of that. However,
he off the playoffs last year. That's before they even shut him down.
However, I think the way he's played since he came back, while inconsistent, which I assumed would happen because he's getting himself back into game shape. He's still, want to make sure the knee is at a good place. He's taking games off. He's playing less minutes. He's not, maybe getting into his rhythm. Tonight, He definitely played the most minutes. I don't know if it was by far, but easily the most minutes he's played since he's returned. And he, looked good down the stretch. We already talked about it. He hit the game. So, listen, the Celtics won this game without Jaylen Brown. Kemba Walker stepped up and was your second best player, who will always be your second or third best player now because of the leaps and bounds that Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum have taken. So, I'm completely fine with the way he's playing. I think he's going to continue to improve. He's going to get the minutes up there and get more into a flow of things. And the more he plays, the more fluid or flowing, I should say, the offense will be with him, Brown, and Tatum in there. So I'm fine with it. I'm happy. I'm very close to apologizing.
I'd love to see it. I love Kemba. I like the guy. Like I said, we've talked about this before. He literally saved everybody from
doomsday,
the misery that was Kyrie.
Absolutely.
Saved it.
But he's doing more than that. He's not just like anti-Kyrie.
I know he's not just a smile and anti-Kyrie. He's still a good basketball player.
That's why he was a perfect combination.
We're literally talking about, does he belong in a conversation to be considered a member of a big three, or is he more of a supporting player? This is the level we're talking about. Is he up near that level, and will he get there again, or are we accepting more of a support role? This is literally the only conversation we're having. We're not saying Kemba's bad.
Okay. Is that a Kemba Walker thing, or is that a Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown thing? Because in order for them to
you can't get to that level now, right? They're so far gone. Yeah,
right. So of course, Kemba Walker's numbers are going to take a little bit of a hit there. I mean, that's just like, again, it goes back to
he's a solidified three. We talk about moving goalposts, guys, and this is what I'm talking about.
But they're moving the goalposts of the other two.
When the season began. Before Kemba's knee thing came up, it was Tatum is the 1, Kemba is the 1A, Brown is the 2, Brown is the 3.
Brown's the 4, actually, right?
Jaylen Brown was the 3rd option, okay? Now, Tatum and Brown are in another stratosphere that we can't even hint at Kemba being anywhere near them, and Kemba is fine, though. At 18 points a game. We've already moved the goalpost from preseason expectations down.
That's not because of Kemba, though. That's because Brown moved into the All-NBA.
We're now saying we're okay with 17. We're saying we're okay with 17, 18 a game. And if we are, then that's fine, which is counterbalanced by the ascension of Brown and Tatum to a yet another level. But that's still less than what you were expecting early in year 2 of a 4-year deal, coming off an all-star starting performance last year. It's not exactly what you bought in for.
No, right? For sure.
20 a game.
Yeah. For sure. I mean, it's not a good thing he's hurt and he's dealing with this and all this other stuff, but it does line up with him needing to move to a lesser role and contribute in more of a tertiary way, which so far, I mean, we're talking about 10 games back so far, 9 games back. Like he's moving at a rapid pace. He's ahead of schedule and coming back, which we've already hashed out, and fitting into this role tonight the way he did. And, even against the Warriors, I thought he was pretty good in that game as well.
Yeah.
Like he's moving ahead of schedule now. And as the minutes ramp up, which Jimmy mentioned that a few minutes ago, we're only talking about 3 games of him playing real minutes. So he can't even get in the flow in a lot of these different games. So it's just it was way too soon to dump him for Isaiah and all the stuff other people are saying. John, I'm not throwing that all on you, but there's just been this conversation around him, like they need him to be an all-star again, which they don't. And that he's way worse and way more done than anyone could have imagined, just because he couldn't start the season, which had more to do with the season starting early than Kemba being behind schedule and not ready to go. If you lined up the date of Martin Luther King, he would have been solidly back in the lineup if that was the starting night. So, I just don't know where all this emphasis of dumping him and what are we going to do with Kemba and this idea that he's a liability. Even if he's below your expectations, he's nowhere close to being a liability.
Nobody's saying that.
Yes, they are everywhere. We had a podcast.
I'm not.
We had a podcast on the network. I just posted a segment pregame with Sean Devaney saying, no one in the league would take this contract right now. This guy's poison.
That's right. .com gang, what up?
Wait,
no one said he's poison, but that's more of the commenters thing. They want Isaiah Thomas over this guy.
Well, Sean, there's still probably
saying that rationally. Who are we listening to?
Yeah, listen. John throws a lot of comments up that he probably shouldn't. People are that crazy to say that, but do they really mean it? Probably not.
We're trying to improve the dialogue here.
Is Kemba tradable right now? I still would say no. I don't think.
Would you trade him? Would you trade him for a fair return right now? Whatever you think that could be.
No.
Well, what the hell does that mean? I don't know.
What's a fair return to you? Just whatever you can imagine is a fair return.
No. It's like whatever.
I'm with
I'm
you,
not
Joe
trying
Swan.
to.
It's
I'm not
fair.
trying to trade him. I'm not trying to trade him.
How about
So
you,
why
John?
would I?
What am I trying to trade him for?
Would you trade
a
him for
ridiculous
what
question.
you consider a fair return?
For Kemba?
Yeah.
I don't know. Give me some options.
Dennis Schroeder.
Yeah, Bobby, get back to us with an example.
No, I mean, just whatever you. I mean, for John, it was Drew Holiday, which I don't think was realistic. I think that was the Celtics optimistically hoping for that. But like, yeah, Dennis Schroeder or someone like that.
Okay, optimistically.
Ooh.
And when that happened,
Ooh.
I said I would absolutely do that. And then the Pelicans said, "No freaking way are we doing that."
Right.
But
And they got a crazy
We were
deal
too
him,
good
too.
for that trade. The Celtics were too good.
I
Yeah, I
was on
mean,
record saying I wouldn't do that. I thought Drew Holiday was overrated. Maybe I
Let's-
was wrong.
let's
maybe,
move off-
Maybe he
let's-
was,
Yeah, let's
he
move
was
on.
so underrated that he was overrated.
They
Let's
ended up
move
getting
on,
4
Kemba.
first-round picks from or whatever it ended up being.
Let's get
so.
to let's we're right now literally having a debate about whether or not Kemba is a 23 point per game guy or an 18 point per game guy. We all think he has value. We're just simply talking about whether or not we're ready to punch his ticket to the All-Star game after one pretty good game. And I'm saying, no, I still want to see consistency. I want to see him knock down more shots, be a more efficient scorer, okay? That's pretty universally considered to be the critique of Kemba right now is he's just not efficient. He's not efficient. He's not an efficient scorer. That's all we want to see, more of it. It's not
Sure.
asking a ton. Okay?
My thing that I want to see is just I want to make sure that he has no knee pain. And so far, I haven't seen
So
or
far,
heard
so
anything like that. So
Yeah,
I'm
so
good.
far so good. Let's move on to Carson, okay?
thank
Normally
God.
we have a Carson moratorium on this show, which is we can't
30 minutes. Wow, he made
30 minutes was the most impressive stat on that,
Like 30.
right? 30 minutes. So
That's crazy.
we refuse to talk about Carson Edwards on this show when he comes in during Geno time because that's garbage. It's a friggin' Vegas league. He just comes out and he shoots every time down the court. But
7 to 12 though was
tonight was real and it was with confidence and he was taking it and
3 threes.
All right, let's
I mean,
talk to the guy who thought he could have been the key adjustment in the playoffs, Joe Sway.
Joe Sway, Carson Cam.
that would be nice.
Maybe Joe Sway was
Take,
right.
Bobby.
Jeff Carson Cam, go.
As much as Bobby wishes that was a legitimate take, because he brought it up like 17 times on the show. That was
No, I'm giving you credit. I mean,
no, screw that. That was the Celtics are screwed. This is their last option because they're not going to win the series. Of course, they lost the series. And listen, Carson Edwards never lacked confidence. It's just about pure skill. Is this guy talented enough to lock down an actual rotational position? I'm not quite sure. I don't know if I'm sold on this. You know, to John's point, people want to combine his 3-point averages to garbage time appearances. It doesn't quite work like that. You know, the pressure isn't quite the same compared to what we saw tonight. Now tonight, completely different story. Those are meaningful minutes. Those were the times where the Celtics needed him to make those threes, like Bobby mentioned. You know, if he doesn't make those 3 threes in what 4 minutes or whatever it was, the Celtics would have had a harder time getting out of that deficit. But I don't know if I'm ready to say this guy is it yet. I want to see some more consistency in those kind of minutes, though. I don't want to see him knocking down 3-pointers in garbage time.
No, you need to. And certainly there's a defensive concern with him. Kawhi kind of hunted him out in crunch time. So that became a problem with him. But when you think of shot making off the bench, there's no doubt he can make shots. And he's a ball handler as well. Strong rebounder for his height. There's things there that you like. And there's a reason they paid him as much as they did as a second-round pick. He's pretty well paid for what he actually is. So they have hope. And there was a skill set there that they hope they could develop. And what I'm seeing the last few weeks, and we've seen him thrown into a couple of different games now. The Cleveland one, I think, sticks out the most because he was 7 to 12 in that one. But he's had strong performances. Now, nothing amazing like tonight was amazing from him, but he's shown signs and contributed and impressed the coach as well. We don't think of Brad Stevens as someone who usually would trust a young player without there being legitimate reason, but he's talked about Carson numerous times over the last couple of weeks as a guy who's rising in this rotation. So that makes me believe, along with what we've seen, that he could be a bench player for this team. And it pairs hand in hand with what we've talked about with Teague. Teague isn't a threat.
You know what else? I realized?
Takes Teague's minutes. Nobody, right?
Yeah, but you know what else I realized though? This is a big reason why we're not seeing Aaron Nesmith. It has to be, guys. Carson Edwards. I think Brad Stevens is like, no, I have this for Carson. Carson has earned this, or he's shown me enough.
And Carson's a point guard.
Putting Carson in there over.
No, Carson's a center, I think.
I get that, but
Yeah.
I'm not. Look,
It's the new NBA, Bobby.
I brought this up in the group chat, and I didn't mean it as, I need this to be.
How tall is Tice?
I need this to be Brad Stevens' option at point. No, I just need it to be an option. Period. I want to see Neesmith out there, some defense at the corner position. You know, I don't know, putting him out there instead of putting 3 bigs in the starting 5. Like, what are we doing here? Whether it's him or Shemi, I mean,
That's a fair point.
Shemi's getting his minutes, but like, where's Neesmith, guys? Like, what is he doing? Is he in the doghouse? Did he make fun of somebody that he shouldn't have? Like,
I think this is the right take on Carson, by the way, from Kyle. You put him in, he hits a couple shots, friggin' house money. You just let it ride. If he doesn't, and he fouls a couple guys, and he gets burned on defense, you pull him out in 3 minutes.
That's how you end up seeing him.
Kyle Edwards.
Minutes. No one expected that.
Be related.
Yeah.
He's my cousin. Trust me.
It's really amazing how a guy like him is able to. He had COVID. I mean, that quietly became a story within the last couple of weeks. But in that period, he was out. But he just kind of can't. He was back with Tatum during the scrimmages, and he played so good in those scrimmages with the coaches and stuff. They're like, this guy might have something here, and he rose out of that to actually. Like, I don't think he's in the rotation yet, but he's right there. Like, whenever they need to switch something up and get more playmaking at the wing, and he's kind of somewhere between.
What happened to Neesmith though? Like, we thought.
I don't think they're interchangeable.
We thought they're not. But it was trending. It was trending towards he had that game and he scored the 9 points and he hit a couple threes and you're like, okay, this is it. Little baby steps to Dr. Marvin's. You know, like. And he just didn't.
He's an offensive player, and there's nothing wrong with the offense right now. Like, they need to fix the
I know,
defense.
but we're sitting here saying Carson Edwards saved the game. He certainly didn't do it, friggin' with his defense. Like,
no, he played good defense.
But Neesmith earned that minutes. He earned that big performance from his defense, Bobby, though. That's what got him on the floor, and I agreed with that. Before the 10th game of the season, people were calling for Neesmith to come in and save the day. And I said, no, wait, not yet, guys. But 10 games later, I mean, look, I get it. If the Celtics were in a better position health-wise, then I would say, okay, yeah, let's hold off. I'm all for letting the rookie, get his grooming or whatever you want to call it.
Over Carson?
I mean, at the time, it depends. But now I'm still thinking, why not put him in there, especially on a night when you don't have Jaylen Brown? You lost one of your corner position players, a big one. I don't get it. I guess he's not doing something that Brad's just something's not there. He's not doing something.
I'm not taking away from Neesmith, but I don't think we're giving enough credit to Carson. I mean, we keep calling it garbage time, but like, you got to do something sometime. Neesmith's had garbage times as well to show out, and he's had a good.
Give him the ball.
That's true, but that's a strength.
It's Carson dribble, bang. Like
that's
Carson
the strength to
maybe.
being a point guard and having the ball in your hand.
The ball starts with me.
Yeah,
he never lacks confidence. Him and Waters, I guess. After Waters, geez.
That is, that's an underrated reason Neesmith hasn't been able to break out to those. He's not a dribbler. He's not a playmaker. Yeah, he always has to find a perfect spot to score.
Someone has to pity him.
Yeah. And like,
here you go. You shoot too, little guy.
I'll go back to how
word it that way, right, John Dan?
I'll go back to this team needs defense. And tonight got me so excited more than anything else because I just saw defensive play after defensive play in that second half. They turned LA over on back-to-back plays with Rob and Teague. Kemba, Tatum had thrown 2 balls away with a shot clock violation and then threw one right to Batum. And Kemba races back and steals it back. Ooh, I mean, the defense was just great.
Story, huh?
Yeah. Tatum had I hated that possession before. Like, spending the whole shot clock trying to force it to him in a double team. Meanwhile, Edwards is wide open. That was what you would have done, John, because you wouldn't have wanted Edwards shooting that.
I'm glad Edwards was shooting it, not Marcus Smart. I'll tell you that.
Ooh. Jimmy, how do you feel about Edwards versus Neesmith?
I'm not as fired up about it as you guys are. I'll be completely honest. I mean, we're talking like out of rotation.
That way.
These are 2 guys who are. I mean, I don't even know if either of them are in the rotation. I don't even know where the rotation ends.
You don't think Edwards is?
It changes every game.
I don't. I think what that commenter said earlier is exactly right. He threw him in there because you're just rotating guys in. Got a little spark early, kept rolling with him, played the hot hand. Wouldn't be stunned if Edwards plays 4 minutes next game, maybe 0.
That's fair.
Right. Yeah,
Everything's a
that's
matchup
player they
basis
are.
with this team. Now I'm
Every night, and
surprised.
that's why we can't get too high and too low on the, oh, Grant was good tonight, and then he didn't play the next night, and Semi was good tonight. It really is, I think, and that's why we were, Bobby, you and I were defending Brad last time when he's getting killed in the comments. Like, I actually think he's making the most out of this because you don't love a lot of the combos that you're going to put out there. You're stuck. How many times are you stuck out there with Teague and Tice and whatever, and you're like, I don't know, we'll see how this goes, and they survive it, like they're able to get by. I think Brad's doing a good job with it right now. He's finding the right mixes. It's just there's a lot of guys you don't love coming off the bench there.
What was the game where we went crazy because 13 guys were playing, and that was kind of the start
13
of
guys
this.
in the first 12
Yeah.
of the first 8 minutes.
Yeah, and
That
was
wasn't that long ago. That was like a week ago.
It was
the
like
Spurs game. The Spurs game.
That
Yeah.
was crazy
2
time.
games ago.
And so that was the start of this. Like for a week and a half now, they've been trying everybody out.
And one of them was Grant Williams. Remember that?
Yeah, and then Grant
Okay,
came
so-
out in a big way against the Warriors.
So
So
Grant Williams, we've kind
he's
of
back.
made fun of him a good amount on the show, so we should probably give him his due.
You
I'll
did
say
last
this.
time. You guys slept through
you
it.
did? Yeah,
Yeah.
I was fast asleep, but so then
Joe
I'll
Spray
make
was
up for
tweeting. You were sleeping.
I'll make up for it by saying this.
The grind never stops.
Grant Williams hit a 3-pointer against the Kings that I had to watch it on replay like 17 times.
He's
'cause I couldn't believe it was
50% from
Grant
three.
Williams. He like made like an actual NBA move. It's like did a step back and like hit a 3-pointer, and I was absolutely stunned. I had to put my phone down and like take a few deep breaths because I couldn't believe that. It was him.
And
He
so
said,
yeah,
And he's hitting more threes now. So like we always say, like, what does Grant Williams actually do good?
the
We've always said
3-pointer.
nothing.
You do here.
Yeah, I'm starting to think that maybe he's not a guy that I cringe at least when he takes a 3-pointer. So
Oh, come on, Jimmy.
no, he's not. He's not.
We're talking.
So-
So he started 0 for 25 for his career, which you hear a million
Unbelievable.
times.
I was actually at the game where he finally hit his first 3-pointers at the TD Garden. I don't
And-
remember who they played, but it was the funniest, running joke going on the team.
I
Everyone
want to
was-
say since that three, like all the way back to that very first three, playoffs and everything in between, he's like 42% from three.
yeah.
So I mean that's really good.
It is. Absolutely. I mean, he gets the ball. You want him taking the shot. So
I
I'm
think
So
okay
what do
with
we
him
say-
taking those shots.
I think it's most important that he's taking it. I mean, there was a lot of times I felt like where he was more hesitant, especially the first couple of weeks of the season. But then you fast forward and you saw it, whereas it was like, okay, whenever he gets time on the floor, can he get open? And now he's getting open and he's not even thinking twice. And I think that's a huge step for him, especially when, after the slow start where it just felt like he was, well, it didn't feel like it. He was for a little bit out of that rotation completely.
No,
It's
he
another
was.
huge adjustment too by Brad is playing zone now every game to
Yeah,
get
he loves
Grant.
it. Last
They-
year was their doom. Now Brad's like, I'm going to get me some of that zone.
It's such
Well,
a weird zone.
Grant's a good zone defender, and I think he's been awesome in those sets. So you can put Grant out there at the 4 where he hasn't been the best defender, and he can defend a position instead of a guy, which he seems better at. And then whoever's down the middle, whether Rob or Tristan or someone else, they're getting more benefits out of that as well too. So like the Fire Brad crew, there's just a lot of good stuff Brad's doing this
So
last
fire
week and a
Brad,
half.
trade Kemba, release Teague.
Well, release
They just
Teague was
hate
still
the
on
Celtics.
point.
Like,
I mean, what's with the anger? We're 20 games into the season. There are a couple games over 500.
I have no anger over wins and losses.
No,
Zero.
I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about a lot of our viewers.
Don't worry about the commenters, Bobby. Talk about stuff that's happening, not what a few
Commenters
will.
outliers are saying.
All right, I'm
drive
not
you
looking at
wild.
the comments anymore.
You gotta
But
stop.
Wednesday drove me up a wall. No
I
smart.
know, you're going to drive yourself crazy. It's like spending all day on Twitter. At the end of the day, we said this. Like this
Team's gonna be
we
pretty
already
good.
know what this team is. They're good enough to win just with Jalen and Jason and a pile of crap around them. Or if the supporting cast is even decent, this team can go far. Like, so you're just trying to figure it out along the way. Like, I don't think anything matters until we said this again last game. Nothing matters until you get
The playoffs.
everybody back fully healthy through the trade deadline and see if you got anybody with that TPE. And then whatever happens in those last 20, 30 games of the regular season, that's probably what this team is heading into the playoffs. Right now, it is what it is. I mean, You're hoping you find something along the way. And if you find a little bit of usefulness out of Carson Edwards, great. If you find it out of Pritchard, which they already have, that stuff, this is like
We haven't even mentioned him.
Period.
How'd he look tonight?
Who?
His return. Pritchard.
Awesome.
The Boston Pea Party, baby.
well needed return for sure.
He was
Have
awesome
him back. Yeah.
in limited minutes, but he looked great.
There's a single part of me that was thinking he may be a little rusty, right? He's just one of those players that once he's ready to go, he's ready to go. And that 3-pointer that got things going for him, the playmaking, it just, again, it's like waiting for your veteran point guard to come back from an injury instead of I'm telling you, the approach heading into the season, what Jeff Teague means to this team compared to Pritchard, if someone would have told me, it's crazy. Payton Pritchard, like one of the most important pieces of this team right now, for sure.
And it's not even, we had this question, would he come back and would it continue for him? And what he's doing isn't that unsustainable. It's being aggressive, getting to good positions on the floor and making quality passes, playing hard on defense, and hitting down shots, which he did all of college. So it's like 5 things he's doing right now that aren't that hard to sustain. It's not like he's scoring 25 points every night and they're riding his scoring average. He's facilitating for the offense. And that's why when you heard Smart went down, sure, it was going to hurt them defensively, but on the offensive end, you knew a guy who was coming back who did many of the things that Smart provides offensively.
Yeah, it's like textbook stuff too, mechanics, stuff that you're only going to get better at, once you hone those skills. And like to your point, it's not, shooting ridiculous or going off for 35 points or something. It's easily sustainable, repetitious stuff that he's only going to get better at.
And like you think of what he's done in place of Kemba at the beginning of the year, and Teague flopping the way he did, and now Smart going down for a month. This is shaping up to be one of the more important draft picks Ainge has ever made. Like it's
definitely.
I mean, really, where would this team be without him?
They're probably the same record-ish.
No, I don't think so.
No,
Yeah.
John. I mean, that has more to do with
maybe a few more losses, but
a lot of that has to do with the guys Ainge has drafted over the last 10 years too. Don't forget. But
I'm
I mean,
thinking
Bobby's
about
got a
5
point.
years. That's what I'm thinking.
It's one of the better pick. It's one of his best picks. Like when you think about where he was picked at, and I will say he is certainly important because we already mentioned Teague struggles and things like that. So I mean, Pritchard can come in and be that like first or second guy off the bench and sort of like continue to run the show. I mean, that's huge for them if they can get all their guys back healthy and he's coming off the bench giving you 20 plus minutes a game.
idea how old this.
Sweet.
Could be days old.
Joe Sway,
you got the dust water.
I don't think water goes bad. So
It's not great.
You know
Joe
what?
Sway and I were thinking like Sadiq Bey or some other shooting wing at that spot. And what would have happened was you would have had Neesmith and another guy stuck behind, 4 or 5 other wings on the team. Teague would have been flopping. Kemba was obviously out for however many games. And now Smart would have gone down and they would have had no backup option for Smart. That's what I mean. I don't think Pritchard was like the best pick of all time. But situationally for what this team needed, and we talk about drafting for need not always being a thing, but this year they needed a draft for need in that spot, and they hammered it out of the park.
I'll say top 5 out of the last 7.
That's what I was thinking.
7 years. Something like that, right? Tatum, Brown, Smart, maybe Pritchard's right around there.
Those picks, like
Rondo
those were,
was way back.
Yeah, Rondo was 06.
You didn't have a choice but to pick those guys, really. I'm talking just based on like where he was in the draft. That's a great pick for sure.
This is a good question. What's Pritchard's high-end comp?
Let's say
he's kind of scrappy.
It's got to be somebody sparky. Think of the sparkiest guy you can think of, Jimmy.
Scrappy guy.
Sparky, plucky, wily.
I mean, like a Jason Williams in his prime.
No way.
Oh, that's high.
Jason Williams was on another planet.
He did say high-end comp, though.
Watch Jason
Nobody
Williams
passed
highlight
like
reel.
Jason Williams.
Jason Williams highlight reel is unbelievable.
I can watch that all day. He's the most fun. I can watch Jason Williams highlight reels all day.
We should do a show on Jason Williams someday, John. A high-end comp for Pritchard. I don't know. That's putting me on the spot here. I don't know, like a decent point guard.
Some people are throwing DJ Augustine. Van Fleet is the one everybody says. I think
don't know,
that's the
Bibby?
one.
Van Fleet?
Bibby,
He's not
maybe?
going to be that good,
That's
is
not
he?
okay. The question was high end comp.
Oh, high
Okay,
end.
fine. Sure. Okay.
Mike
Van
Bibby?
Fleet.
I don't know.
Yeah, I was thinking Bibby, but high end.
Bibby's a beast, too, though.
Van
Bibby had a
Fleet's
great
is Van
career.
Fleet out
I
of the
hated
question?
Bibby, though.
Van Fleet
listen,
right now
I
is
hated Mike Bibby.
an all-star.
It all comes down to how long he stays here and what the role would be, because there's still that question of does he ultimately become like an asset to use in an eventual trade, or like is he like the next point guard of the team for years to come?
I thought DJ Augustin was a decent comp there.
Yeah.
But is DJ
Patty Mills?
Augustine really
He's
a high
competent.
upside guy?
That might not be high
DJ
end.
Augustine,
Ben Gordon was an
Yeah,
average.
Nelson.
Ben Gordon's much more athletic.
Ben Gordon was an athletic freak, and he could score.
Phillips, that would be a really high end too.
Phillips, Hall of Famer?
He's a little
No.
quicker than Bill.
No, he's a
Dude,
fringe.
Chauncey Billups was nasty his rookie year. When
I love
Rick Pitino
Chauncey.
traded him, I cried like a baby. I was young, so don't hate on me for that, but I did cry. He was like my favorite player at the time.
You wish you could have had that week where he would have been running the offense at a much higher rate, more minutes, all that stuff during the layoff. When he was like one of 8 guys on the roster, that would have been a lot of fun.
Jason Terry. No,
Terry could score, man.
Teague now.
Terry
No,
could
he's
score.
more of a point guard. A lot of people are picking score first guys. Teague's a real point guard. You know?
Well, that's what he's doing right now.
Who's not afraid who will shoot too, but I mean,
Yeah,
Teague,
I was gonna say.
yeah.
If you go back and watch him in
Who was
college,
Tony Parker's high end comp. There you go.
I
Tony
think
Parker
he's
is
capable of being a
I love Tony Parker.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about,
You would.
you know.
That's definitely
He's great.
a John guy. Tony Parker.
I love Parker too.
Parker's
That's,
so good.
yeah.
You
Oh,
love
that
Ginobili.
20
You like Ginobili. You love
that
Ginobili.
that 2013 finals where they just lost because all the
John loved
crazy
him.
stuff that happened in Game 6. I mean, he was unbelievable that year, and then it started fading him for a little bit after that. 2014 too, though, that team was ridiculous, and by that point, he was the front man on that team.
Maybe like a John
Or
Stockton.
Kawhi.
Yeah, I like this one right here.
Yeah.
Nailed it. Yes.
I bet that
Yeah.
guy watched them.
Dude,
Right around
I'll
there.
never forget those games, bro. Oscar Robinson, man. Crazy,
Yeah.
crazy times.
John
That's
went
a
to
good
few
question
Oscar
for
Robertson
Bob.
Games, I think.
That's a good question.
Ron
for
Deron
Bob.
Williams. I like it. Shout out to this dude.
Deron Williams is a decent.
When he was a top 5 point guard.
Deron Williams was terrific.
Yes.
And
was
then
one of
fell
the
off
best
He could
Yeah.
fill it up. He
Yeah.
could fill it up. But he hated Jerry Sloan, right? Isn't that how it ended there?
Yeah,
Or something? Yeah, he
I
like
like it. He fell off a cliff, man. Williams was really good. I liked him a lot.
He was one of the big 5 Nets that
Big
were
five.
not very big.
Yeah.
Him and what was it?
All right, can I before we end it,
Bobby?
can I do the Thompson thing? I'm gonna make my pitch to because you guys had missed a couple games this week, but Tuesday and Wednesday he scores 13 points, he scores 17 points, massive rebounding games. I think he's 5th in the league in rebounds per 48 or 36 rather, and then comes out tonight and plays the best defense I've seen from him all season. Rotates out on Kawhi and forces an air ball. Rotates out on Batum and gets a stop late. Clogging up the middle and some zone looks, some man looks. And again, I think he, it wasn't a flashy scoring night from him, but we wanted him to close the game on Wednesday. And who knows how that would have gone if he actually got fourth quarter minutes in this game. And tonight they let him roll and he ends with 11 and 7. 2 clutch free throws at the end of the game. He's gotten much better at that.
That was terrifying.
I think
that was crazy that he hit him.
We're already approaching. I'm not going to make you do it tonight, but we're already approaching Tristan Thompson apology cam because, like I said,
goodness gracious,
it's happening sooner than I thought. But he's going to be so crucial.
Listen,
Bobby, you almost apologized
we
for
keep
him like
talking
a week
about
ago.
moving goalposts here.
No, you brought it up.
I came very close.
Be this guy like this. This is the low end of what you were trying to get. He's now hitting his lowest expectations of what you thought you might be getting when
Very
you got him.
soon.
He's done it a couple of times. Can we at least give him a run of?
Well, think of what he's going to be doing by the end of the year now. He's already
we
back in a
great?
week.
Then that's
Well, let's see.
We can't do an apology. If we do an apology game every time you want to, we would have already apologized for saying Semi was bad and then apologized 2 days later for saying
I think all this stuff was deserved.
Okay? We'd keep apologizing for the thing we said the day before because it keeps changing.
Sorry.
So give it some time.
Sorry. Yeah, what are we, Canadian? We're just going to apologize back. I know Bobby's the prime minister of
You guys aren't going to
Canada,
apologize for anything. You're just going to resist.
It's going to
be April, and you guys are going to be like, we haven't seen enough. It's changed too much.
Listen, you can go check the tapes. The only thing I said about Thompson was that if it came down to Miles Turner in Indy or Tristan Thompson, I would have picked Miles Turner. So if you're telling me that Thompson's better than Turner, then I'll apologize. But until then, I'm not apologizing. I liked the signing of Tristan Thompson, but like John just said, he's just starting to show signs of life. And listen, is it a coincidence that it's in California? Is it the Kardashian effect going?
Let's not jinx him. I agree here, Kareem.
Kardashian effect is strong right now. Maybe he got to see his child too, which is probably very nice for him. Maybe gives him a little rejuvenation.
You guys are right too. I was tough on him. I was extremely tough on him last week. I mean, I thought he was the worst defender in the NBA after we saw the way he got.
That like 3 days ago.
Yeah, against the Warriors. But that's when he started coming up on the offensive side. Now tonight I see some defense, and it's just changing very fast for him. And like it's going to be way more important than you guys think.
And all I'm saying is we can't be on the verge of having you apologize for Thompson for thinking he was good 2 days ago, and then a day later we apologized for the other thing. We just can't flip flop like that.
It has to be a sustained.
We got to sustain it. Let's sustain it, okay? Just a little bit longer.
I'm still leaning on the fact that he's going to be a game changer come playoff time.
Great. And we're all for it. Let's get there.
We're seeing shades of it already.
Bookmark this clip.
Tonight, his play against Giannis on opening night, which was important looking back on it, and the fact that he's made this.
I know. But let's not forget the 15 games in the middle where he was like.
I know, and I've acknowledged all those things.
I can already see this clip resurfacing and then just seeing like
cited opening night
February 6th, 2000, and then like March. So like in Bobby, these takes about Thompson like throughout the course of the season.
It's gonna slowly grow as the year goes on, and I ignored the signs early on of how impactful he can end up being. But even from day one. Even from day one, he has made this a top 5 offensive rebounding team. And again tonight, the Clippers.
Dennis Cantor also made it a good offensive team.
No, he didn't. Yes. Not at this level.
Who's a better offensive rebounder this year?
Thompson.
Cantor.
No, I think it's even at this point. I'll check that after the show.
That's fine. We already had this conversation. He had to do more than what he was doing, and all he was doing was grabbing some boards. Now. Thankfully, he's finishing around the rim a little bit better, which is all you really needed out of him, which is clean up some of that mess. Get it, scrap, fight for the ball, work it in tight, use some muscle against smaller defenders. He's done that, which is great. You want to see that for a sustained period of time, he'll absolutely have more value. The version of him prior to this West Coast trip was trash. Most of the year, trash.
Yeah,
and it changed very quickly.
That's great, but I mean, he was trash. Okay, I mean, we all determined he was the third. He should be the third big, and it looked like it was trending that way. I mean, guys, at the beginning of this trip, he had the first 2 games of the season. He was below 20 minutes out of 3 total. It looked like Brad was starting to knock him down that rotation, and then just bang bang. It was Bobby. It was that Grant Tristan game. Where Grant didn't play.
The Warriors,
Grant didn't play the day before, and Tristan was relegated to 15 minutes of action, and then they both came back and had their best games the next day. So we're 2 games into this Tristan resurgence. Let's give it a little time.
Well, that's when Williams and Tice they played well together. Well, they show signs that they could.
Yeah, that was great. Yeah. I love this version. I love that. That's what you want to see.
Yeah, you're gonna mostly see committee work at that position, but I just think. Given the matchups that they brought him in for, he's going to lay an imprint on those series when it ultimately comes to that. And already we're seeing him change who this team is. And I don't love it, but it's working for them right now. And I think it's going to lead somewhere great.
Here's my question. If you had your option of switching out some of our current bigs for a player like Vucevic or even Zubac tonight who we saw. So I'm not saying you can get that guy, but a player like that, a more offensive-minded, slightly more. Do you think that fits? Because I don't know whether it does or doesn't on this team. You like these kind of scrappy, undersized guys that can switch and guard the perimeter? Because I know Brad does. That's the upshot with a guy like Tristan and a guy like Tice, is that they can guard the perimeter a little bit better than these other guys, and they don't clog it up.
I'd rather be a defensive team than an offensive team.
Yeah, but I feel like if you're getting someone like that, you have to flip Tice, right?
You're paying a lot of money. Yeah.
Yeah, well, you're upgrading that position in that role, right? Because he would be the only stretch big that you have that you could put out there. And you're essentially upgrading that position, right? You know, if we're talking pure shooting wise between Tice and Vucevic, you take Vucevic and just the overall who Vucevic is as a player, who I think could still get a little bit better, you know, that's what you would see the Celtics do. But how does that work between the three again? Do you still have the same problem, or do you have to part ways with one of the other bigs? I don't know.
I would
tough.
take Vucevic.
Obviously, if you can pull off a trade like that, you do it.
I mean, guys, I don't. If it's Vucevic over Tice, I think that's a no-brainer.
Right, exactly. So what are we talking about here? I'm saying
we're not. Right.
That's not even possible.
Bobby thinks no. Bobby doesn't want to trade anybody for anybody.
No, I want a wing. I want to get back to
We
having
all
three
wanted
wings.
They wanted a wing instead of Tristan.
Well, no, you can have both now. That's why I liked what they did with Turner. Now you can have a wing and you can have Thompson.
Hold on a second. The
with the
Payton
TP.
deal, Miles Turner. I'm just saying.
I said last week I would still say no to Turner.
That's a big in a wing.
You would
I don't
still.
know.
In some
Dude,
ways.
You're just being stubborn now. You love
This
defense,
team
but you would say
Look
no to
a
that.
little better with.
You'd
those
rather be a
two.
defensive team, but you'd say no
What?
to that.
We'll see where this defense goes. Early on, I was thinking about it because the defense was a disaster at the beginning of the year, but the last 2 weeks have been pretty good. And now I'm guessing probably not because the score is still high, but relative to what the challenge was of this Clippers team, I think they're inching toward being a top 10 defense again, which is so satisfying to me.
You think? I hope, man. I
So
don't.
they strangled the Cavs, which wasn't impressive because the Cavs aren't good on offense, but then they shut down the Bulls besides that late burst, I think it was 103 in the end. That was pretty impressive because the Bulls are great offense. They did a good job tonight. The Warriors, they held down Steph after that bad first quarter.
Shot 52% from the floor and 44 from three. I mean,
but second half is what
I know
I'm
the
talking
second
about.
half was better, but I mean, it was really one quarter where they really pulled it ahead. But I mean, this was not a stellar defensive effort. It was better.
We have 115 points without Paul George in the game.
It was garbage for huge stretches of this
Well,
game.
63 was the first half, and then it was 20 in the third, which was a great. And then down the stretch of this one, they just completely shut it down. Semi stopped Kawhi twice.
Bobby, they gave up 33 points in the fourth. This was not a good defensive night. They had a good third quarter, and that's basically it. But the defense was garbage in the first half and only okay in spots and a couple of spots in that fourth quarter.
Well, they were down 16, and they had to go on big runs to get back, and then it's going to come
They
back the
didn't
other way.
They didn't miss in the third quarter. They went like 9 of 11.
They scored
like
8
3 or
threes. They got
something.
8 threes in the third quarter. The Celtics just lit it up in that third quarter.
They outscored him 38-20 in the third quarter.
Well, this is as good of an offense
not
as
a
you're going
Difference
to
of
see.
18 points.
This was not a good defensive night.
I mean, think of the personnel on the other side. Kawhi is scoring 30 every single night. You shut him down with Semi Ojeleye in isolation in crunch time. And then Thompson gets the switch stops, and
They started, Batum, Kennard,
I know the first quarter and second were pretty bad.
This was not a dynamite Clippers. This was not the best Clippers team that they're going to put out there, and they lit the Celtics up. This was not a good defensive game.
It was they're not going to see an offense better than this one. So you come out with a win, you
What
hold
about
them to
the
115.
Nets?
That's a fair point. We'll see what happens there.
Yeah,
And that's our.
That's true.
and
Good
I
point.
agree. They closed strong, sure, but yeah, let's. I don't want to. There's no reason to overstate it. The defense was bad for most of this game.
But we
Second
saw
half, I liked
glimpses
a lot
of what
more
they're.
than you
I
did.
think what Bobby's saying is we saw glimpses of what they're capable of when they want to be a good defensive team. Is that correct, Bob?
Yeah, and I'm talking.
We can meet in the
Sound like a
middle
lawyer
here, guys.
asking like
It's
that.
Friday night.
The competition was high here, and I know George wasn't in there, but still, you're relying on Semi to make great defensive plays, and Grant, and Rob, and Teague, and Edwards. it went down to guys who are less reliable defensively, still coming up big. And Kemba Walker, I thought tonight was fantastic defensively. So it wasn't just your reliable guys doing all the work on that end. It was a great team effort. They're becoming more connected. And I'm just seeing progress with this team week in and week out. And even if they lost this game tonight, I still would have come out feeling pretty good about it because it's just about the signs you see and the progress being made. And as long as everybody's freaking out, I'm not going to talk about the comments again after tonight, but
yeah, right.
I promise.
He goes back and he rereads them all and cries.
He just
at night,
can't
guys.
quit you guys. He just cannot quit.
No,
you guys.
the only reason I read them is because you blast them up on the screen all game. Fire Brad, trade Kemba for Isaiah, and they just flash in my face, and I'm like, what's going on
We're
here?
connected to our viewers, Bobby.
Hey, we this is the difference between our show and all the others. We give the viewers a voice. It might be an idiotic voice, but we still give them a voice.
I've always done that. I used to give some guy in Australia like 18 minutes to do like a long poem about the game.
Well, we're not gonna go that far. Please
Yeah,
keep
that was
your
a
poems
lot.
to yourself.
Yeah.
18 minutes.
We used to have some late nights on the old show.
Must have really been hurting for content.
Riveting. It sounds like a riveting program.
Okay, guys, it was just 18
Some
minutes.
people still miss that show, but
18 minutes is like 45 on TV. Like, radio, that's a long 18. 18's a long time.
I had to be.
You get 18 seconds.
John Nothing, he's been all over our chats, just reminded me, pay the bills. I'm going to pay the bills here.
Yeah.
Final thought. I'm not.
Manscaped, Bobby, paying bills.
Just use this.
Relax, Bob. We don't need to do your final
Use it,
thought. Yeah,
guys.
we're just going to pay the bills quick.
I was just
20%
wrapping it
off
up.
your first purchase and free shipping at manscaped.com for the full package for your package. Lawnmower 3.0. We've got all sorts of accessories, which I think involves some powder and some spray.
Powder's huge,
I'm
man.
growing today, guys. Check me out.
Use various places, boxers, a travel bag. Get it done. Get it done, kid. You're going to need it.
Kid.
Get it done, kid.
Get it done. Press past 20, dude.
Yeah.
That's got to be the new line right there. Manscaped. Get it done, kid.
Get it done. That's get it done, kid. Jimmy makes the best point on this sale. You need something like this in your tool shed. So why not just go get this now for the 20% off? Go.
Seriously.
And free shipping.
Do it. You'll get 20% off.
It's good for us. It's good for you.
Free shipping, too.
Good product. I mean,
Good
a
for your
ton of us
balls.
use it here. A ton of us use
For
it.
your balls, man, right? At the end of the day, right? Just
Yeah.
guys being dudes.
Just what's the
Bro, I have
powder
a couple
for?
girls in here
Guys,
too. Ladies, if you're watching, and you,
Where does
you
the
know a
powder
guy,
go?
you know a guy, probably could use it.
You snorted.
Powder,
That's what I was laughing
Yeah.
at when I saw
wherever
it.
you want it to go. Wherever you want it to go.
Once
How about
you
this?
buy it, it's yours.
Wherever
Go
it's
nuts.
itching.
Go nuts.
Yeah. That's fun. All right,
Joe
please
Sway, it looks
stop.
like you threw a bunch of powder on. Your white balance is way off tonight, bro.
Yo, I don't know what's going on. I thought it looked
You look
fine.
pale.
You're right. I feel like it keeps going in and out. It dims a bit.
It's the impact of the Nick camera. It just starts fogging up. You might have to do one of these.
We didn't get Nick at Night once on this trip. He's in the chats right now.
I can't believe that. We have one more 10 o'clock though. Utah
Bro, just
Jazz.
seeing you do that just cracks me
You
up.
take over for me on that one.
Proud of Nick doing the thing.
That was one of the funniest moments in the history of the show.
When is Utah?
I don't know. Is it Monday or Tuesday?
Speaking of the commenters, one of them was like, "Yo, this dude."
Oh
really-
no, Josue, he got you. He got you.
He
Oh,
got you.
He didn't see me say it either. I said at the top.
Did not.
I was like, "Listen, if I look like Sammy Sosa, y'all need to let me know.
Gotcha.
You need to let me know." Y'all
Tuesday
need to know.
is Utah.
I'm out here Sammy Sosa.
Slam and Sammy. We got Slam and Sammy on the show tonight.
I
We
know.
get some guests. We get some good guests.
Where's that? Where's the switch at? The light off. I think it's the backlight.
You need to get that ring light, bro.
No, the ring light's the one that's going too hard, Jimmy. That's the one that's too
Oh,
bright.
really? Oh, shoot.
Now it's even out because I got the other light off. Now it's even out.
Joe Sosa.
You need the right equipment
So-
for the job.
so
like
sway.
Manscaped.
Joe Sway Sosa. Nah, I got nothing.
Joe Sosa.
So sway.
So sway.
Joe, yeah.
So sway.
I
All
guess
right,
maybe.
guys. Super Bowl prediction time, I guess.
Oh, hey, real quick, we got to make sure that our show on Sunday is over well before the Super Bowl because I am locked on to my guy TB12. Hey, listen, this question is for Tom Brady guys only. I'm going to tweet this tomorrow, but is this Sunday Super Bowl, is this the biggest Super Bowl for Brady guys? Because it might be.
No, it's a wash.
In terms of Brady guys.
I think it's the opposite. House money.
Yeah, no one will care if he loses.
I disagree completely. Listen, if he loses, it's not a big deal. But if he wins, this might be the biggest Super Bowl for Brady guys going because of all the naysayers and the hate and the Patriot stuff, and they wouldn't pay him, and everyone, doesn't believe him.
Jimmy, it's a great FU win, but
exactly. I think that's what Jimmy means by it. Yeah.
In terms of pressure, it's so low.
Not a pressure thing, but if you're a Brady guy, this is a big game for you because this is going to really shut down the haters once and for all. Even though they've already been shut down, there's nothing else Brady needs to do, like you said. But this shuts down the Patriots haters, shuts down the Patriots organization, Bill, everybody who didn't believe that Tom still had the juice left, which he clearly does. Win or not on Sunday, he clearly does. I'm betting Bucks money line on Sunday. I'm a huge Bucks believer. I think they've got a strong defense too that gets overlooked sometimes. It's going to be a high-scoring game, though. That being said, 38-34 Bucks.
There's pressure on Brady because he's going to have to be great in this game to match up with Mahomes on the other side because that's just such a monster on the Kansas City side. And I know what's Bernard's thing, John, that it's the team in Tampa and not as much Brady. I guess
a lot of people are saying it, but here's
there's vindication though because
I'll look at it. Okay, there's one legitimate edge that the Bucks have in this game, and that's that their defensive front is solid, and KC's got a real ragtag offensive line here.
And
now,
run game too. Yeah.
What people they don't have the discipline to commit to the run game. Arians will never do it. So it's up to Brady to have a very, very, very clean game. He can't turn it over. What I will say last year, and people forget it. San Francisco lived in the KC backfield for 3 quarters. Bosa would have been the MVP of that game through 3.5 quarters, and then none of it mattered because Mahomes went down the field 3 times in 4 minutes and scored.
He's
3 touchdowns,
amazing,
and it was over. So the difference here is you have somebody on the other side who should and could theoretically go punch for punch with him late in the game. So if Brady is clicking like Brady can, and this game is close, that it can work for them. Okay, but Brady has to be clean. You can't turn.
There is a
Brady
world
will
where
be
this
Brady.
is.
Brady has been locked in a room for 2 weeks getting ready for this game. I am expecting peak Tom Brady on Sunday.
I'm with you, Jimmy, but
this is old hat for him.
There's a world where the Chiefs
home game too.
There's a world where the Chiefs annihilate them, though, which makes me a little scared to go all in on them. But I am picking the Bucks. I mean, I love their defense. Their weapons are unbelievable. You mentioned the front seven, John. Yeah. It's amazing. I've always been a Bucks fan. That's always been my NFC team going back to.
Me too.
Get out of here, Bob.
No, it is.
Me too,
I used to love
it.
Want me to fire off names? Josh Freeman, LeGarrette Blount, Doug Martin. No. I go back to those days.
Warren Sapp.
I need pictures with you in Bucks gear. That's what I need.
I got one downstairs. I got a Doug Martin jersey. I was just
this season.
So this is where I give Brady credit. He chose a great team, and he got blasted for going there because the city stinks and the organization stinks, but the team was really good.
He chose an average team, and he made them great.
No, he chose a team that was on the rise. Good team that would have made the playoffs with even average quarterback play last year.
How many interceptions?
That had a lot of good pieces.
Did he have 30 interceptions?
30 interceptions.
Oh Lord!
How many quarterbacks take?
They had a top 5 offense last year with a quarterback who threw 30 interceptions.
He threw for 5,000 yards.
They have no discipline, and their coaching is average at best, in my opinion. How many quarterbacks jump on that Bucks team this season?
No, but I'm giving him credit, Jimmy. He chose a great place and made them better.
I think 10 or 12 people could have had him in the same place.
Wrong.
I think they get there with like I said, I think an above average
10 or 12, half the freaking league.
They were an 11-5 team. They weren't that far from that last year. An average quarterback gets them there, but I don't know if they get them to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, maybe the playoffs, but yeah.
Who you got, Joe Sway?
I'm gonna go. I don't want it to be this way, but I think this is going to be sort of the passing the torch sort of thing. I think we get a hell of a game, and I think Mahomes pulls it up. I think the Chiefs win it, but I hope I'm wrong, man. I really want Brady to win it, but
you got to admit this, Jimmy. It's going to be really hard for Tampa to win.
I just get the feeling it's going to be like that passing the torch.
It's going to be hard for the Chiefs to win too, I think. I mean, listen, these are the two teams deserve to be here. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. I mean, at this point, I don't know how you can bet against Brady. I just don't know. I mean, I understand Mahomes is the best quarterback in the league just based on talent, but Brady is the greatest football player of all time, maybe the greatest athlete of all time. I do know many things. Thank you. And I'm not counting out Brady. I mean, I might be wrong in the end, but I'm certainly not going to count him out.
When he was throwing that's the thing, Brady. To John's point, he's got to throw a clean game, and
that's my feeling.
He looked very clean this postseason.
That's my feeling right there.
Does the Chiefs defense scare you? Does that defense scare you?
No, just Mahomes, really.
Yeah, I mean, it's all about Mahomes. Like,
why can't Brady have a clean game? I mean, I'm expecting
he could, Jimmy. He could get them to early in the fourth and be up like.
No one has but
he could be up 28-14 in the fourth, and Mahomes could literally just burst in the flames and score 3 touchdowns in 6 minutes. Like, that's the kind of player he is. So it scares me.
I think Mahomes needs to have a clean game too, because
Brady's 2-3 against Spagnuolo. He gives him fits a little bit sometimes. So I'm a little that's about it. You have a guy who can disrupt him a little bit before he kind of figures stuff out. And if you go down 14-0 here, it's always that fear. I mean, this is the same thing everybody had when they played the Patriots, when they had an offense that was just killing you. You go down 14-0 the rest of the game, you're dead. So I don't know.
I think that's what I see. I just see him going down, maybe not by 2 touchdowns, but 10 points, and he just has to crawl his way back, and maybe he falls short in the end. I don't know. Hopefully, I'm wrong though.
It's hard. I can't tell if I'm deciding with my head. For a while, I was one of these grumpy, jilted New England guys who was like, Brady left us, F him. But like the heart wants,
it's fake news, by the way.
It's impossible not to root for him. I tried, and
we battled via text all year, and I have to say,
he's vindicated either way.
I tried. I'm not afraid to admit I'm wrong.
I just feel like you're rooting against him at this point. It's like you don't appreciate the greatness of this whole thing.
It's a better story.
Yeah, like listen, you're not going to see another quarterback like this. Just enjoy it,
Write this story.
So Jimmy,
I question people. I'm like, do you really like football, or do you just? I don't know. Like really, I'm just like, I don't get it at this point. This is greatness. How do you not? How are you not impressed by this?
Celtics I think also. I want to see 7 Super Bowls to 1 for Mahomes is going to make it really hard for him to catch him. But if it's 6-2 this early in his career, it leaves it open. So I'm going to create some distance here.
I think this is going to be the most watched Super Bowl of all time. A lot of hype going in the Super Bowl. One of the best quarterback matchups of all time in the Super Bowl, I would say too, based on just.
I mean, remember that game in 2018? That AFC title game should have been the Super Bowl. Like, Brady just came out with so much big playmaking, and to counter Mahomes the way he did in that game on the road, like that's gotta. Where's that rank for you, John? Among the Brady wins,
top 3.
And they still needed the forward play though. Like they still needed that in the very end against Mahomes. So that's what scares me. I know Brady's capable of it, but what they're going up against is daunting.
Yeah. All right. Well, we will.
SpongeBob, if you hated Brady this year, then I just feel bad for you, man. Like
I hate Bill and the Pats. I'm over the edge.
All right. So we're gonna wrap it. Bobby's gonna get angry. We are back for
brother came to a pass.
We are back. This is a perfect way to kick off your Super Bowl with some Celtics post-game action right after the game. What time's kickoff? Is it
we get to talk about Jay Crowder?
6:40-ish, isn't it usually?
Yeah, the game starts at what? 2?
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll be long gone. Okay.
So I'm going to have some Super Bowl prop. Everyone has to come with some Super Bowl prop bets for the end of the show. So
I'll talk about the weekend for 25 minutes if you want me to.
Come with your best Super Bowl prop bets for Sunday.
Yeah. Okay.
But
deal. We'll do that.
Unless we're not allowed to get. I don't want to say anything wrong. So maybe just for fun.
Just for fun.
Just for fun.
For fun. All right, we're gonna wrap it. Thanks for hanging. It's late bedtime. It's almost 2 a.m.
I just got.
What are you laughing at, Josue?
Oh no, what you guys are just saying now, just for fun. Like I just got the
Just for
joke.
fun, guys. We're just having fun.
Just
All
pure
good, clean
no-
fun here.
no wager, no, yeah.
That's all we do on
Nobody-
this show. We don't make a cent.
Just having fun.
Respect.
Anyway, we will see you guys on the flip side. Jimmy Toscano, Joe Sway, Sosa Pavone, Sosa, Bobby Manning. We're back on Sunday. Enjoy your weekend. Go Brady.
Go Sports.